places do we go in teams that we're a part of, in companies that we're a part of, and everything is built around being the best. Do you know, based on the definition of the best, it's exclusive to one for each category? Dang, that's kind of like disappointing, right? If I had to talk about let's be the best today, then guess what? Only one of you walks out leaving as that. So when I was thinking about it, I know that everybody's claiming to be the best, but you know what our goal, our dream, our prayer, our hope for each other should be is not to be the best. It should be to be our best. Because every one of you has a chance to accomplish that. And today I would love to encourage us all, maybe when we leave, that it's not just about leaving trying to be the best, but it is about leaving trying to be our best. And I hope that all of us do leave encouraged, but if I was to choose a word, I would not personally choose encourage or encouragement. Although it's something I love, I believe in, I believe is necessary, I believe it's a great thing. But what encouragement really means is to give support, confidence, or hope to. Amazing things, I love them, special things. But do you know what they also are? Feelings, emotions. And do you know what those are? Fickle. They come and go, and if we live by our emotions, congratulations, your life will be a roller coaster. So if I was to choose a word, I would choose inspire over encourage. Because what inspire or inspiration means is to fill someone with the urge to do something, and I would rather be someone that did something than just felt something. Because how many people in our society, they feel something, but it didn't move them enough to actually do something. You see, there is a reason why 90% of us that come up with the New Year's resolution quit within a month. Why? Because we no longer feel like it. Man, that diet I was so excited about, I no longer feel like eating that food. I thought I was going to work out 5 times a week. I don't feel like it. I thought I was going to get up every morning at 5 o'clock and train. I don't really feel like it. I thought I was going to read one book every week. I don't longer feel like it. What if we didn't let emotions and feelings dictate our life and our choices, but what if we actually let convictions dictate our lives and choices? Because emotions are super fickle, and if we let them lead, we will have a life that's a roller coaster. Some days will be fantastic. We'll want to get up and train and do all of the things, but we're also going to have so many Mondays where we don't really feel like it. But in those moments, then who are we? So I would choose, although it's a great thing, not encouragement, I would choose inspiration. Maybe that there is something that this random dude that got cut a bunch of times from the NFL would possibly say, that we would all leave a little bit inspired. Inspired to do what? Filled with the urge to do what? I really believe it's in the pursuit of trying to be our best. Not just the best, because that's what's said so many times in places, and we buy into it. Do you know why? Because 12% of our daily thoughts are spent in some form of comparison. Do you know if you spend 12% of your daily thoughts comparing yourself to other people, weighing it out, you have no chance at being your best. If 12% of my thoughts is comparing myself to you or to you or to you, how could I be focused on actually being my best? I'm too worried about you. What if we took that 12% and we put it towards actually striving in the pursuit of being our best, and especially for what really matters? And I was just thinking today, what would be some of the ways that we could put into practice trying to be our best? Number one, I believe it starts with showing up with the right mindset. Do we really show up with the right mindset? And there's 2 things I want to talk about with the right mindset. One, it's looking through the disappointment to see the opportunity. Because guess what? Do you know what's going to happen in life when we leave? Either today or tomorrow or soon, you're going to have disappointment. You're going to have a sucky moment. You're going to get cut from another team. There's going to be disappointment. But how do we handle that? Can we look through the disappointment into the opportunity? Can we really have the mindset we either win or we learn? That's not win or lose, it's win or learn. That in that disappointment, we can actually grow. Which one do you think you remember more? Of your favorite games or your favorite teams, the blowout or the comeback? I would say the comeback. Shoot, I got to play in a lot of different games on both sides of it. It's hard to remember any of the blowouts. But do you remember almost every one of the comebacks? What if we would look through the disappointment into the opportunity of what stands in front of you? And I think one of the coolest things that I could share with you this afternoon is that many of the most impactful things in my life have taken place after a setback. Would we be willing to show up with the right mindset to say we're going to look through the disappointment, we're going to learn, and we're going to see the opportunity? Because even though it might be a setback, it has set us up for the greatest comeback. But that's a mindset, because how many teams, players, individuals never had a comeback because they sulked after the setback? A lot. Probably me too many times. And the second thing about a mindset is that we have to focus on our why, not forget it. We have to actually remember and focus on the why we're doing something. Why is it that you do something? Another word that some people would use is purpose. What does that mean? The reason something is done, used, created, or exists. What is your purpose? In other words, some people would use this calling, which I would say the best definition I've ever heard is an urgent divine invitation to accept responsibility for a particular task. What is your calling? The second thing that I want to talk about after we show up with the right mindset is, are we willing to show up with extreme passion? You see, we could put a highlight video on the screen, and every single one of us could be excited, motivated, hyped. But you know what happened when I get hit by a 300-pound lineman? He's no longer excited, motivated, or hyped. But I could still be passionate. Why? Because they mean very different things. Many times we put them in the same category, but that's not what they mean. Passion actually comes from a 12th century Latin word that means to suffer. And it comes from the passion of the Christ. That he cared so much for people, he was willing to suffer for them. So when you say, hey, you're passionate about something, know what you're saying. It means you care so much that you're willing to suffer for it. You want to be different, unique, contagious, and people want to be around you? Guess what? You show up with extreme passion. Do you know why it's contagious? Because very few people have it. That will make you different. And you want to have a chance at being your best? You show it with passion every day. Being willing to suffer for it. Caring so much for something that I'm not just going to show up when it's great, when it's easy, after a win, after a blowout. Do you know how many people are excited the first day of training camp? Pretty much everybody. Do you know how many people are passionate day 15 of training camp? Not as many. Why? Because it sort of hurts to move. Who are you day 1? And who are you in the middle of camp? Are you just as passionate then as you are when it's going good? You want to be different. You want to have a chance at being your best. Yes, show up with the right mindset, but then you also show up with passion. And people will look and say, man, I want to be around her. I want to be around him. I want to have that much passion on Monday morning. Do we show up with the right mindset? And we actually living with the right passion? If not, find something that you actually really love to do and you are passionate about it. And the third thing that I would love to talk about is, Also, show up with the right people. Build the right team. Because we're not actually meant to go through life alone. I heard a story of a study that was done many years ago from a psychologist from Harvard. He showed up at a school and said, I have a special test. He got all the teachers, I think it was 18 or something of the teachers, and he said, I have a special test. This test, when your students take it, it is going to tell me which one of them are bloomers, he called it. Really, another way to say is brilliant or geniuses or those that are very gifted. When they take this test, I will know the bloomers. So all these teachers, they had their students take this test. Then afterwards, he got all the tests back. And he went over them with the teachers and he said, these are the students that are bloomers, brilliant, geniuses. These are the ones. He left, came back at the end of the year. All the students that he said were brilliant, bloomers, geniuses. Do you know what happened with their IQ? It went way up. And then he told the teachers, it was just a lie. It wasn't a special test. I literally just changed the name. It was a normal IQ test. I just told you that they were brilliant, that they were bloomers. But do you know why their IQ went up? Because you treated them that way. Do we have people in our life that get the best out of us? And by the way, do we actually treat people like bloomers? You want to be your best? You also need people to push you, to encourage you, to inspire you, to make you better. How many people in your life would they say that about you? Hey, I'm better because he's in my life. I'm better because she's in my life. I'm better because I have a team that pushes and inspires me and lifts me up when it gets really hard. You know, we need to show up with the right mindset. Yes, we need to show up with passion, but we need to also build relationships. For so many reasons, but a big one is when it gets hard, will we have someone that lifts us back up? Will we have someone that builds us up? And the last thing I think that's important to us being our best is that we actually remember what really matters. That we do everything we can to fight to keep perspective. You know, one of the areas for me and how I lose perspective is many times in my life, but has often been through sports. And still to this day, I'll lose perspective. Like if we lose another year to Georgia, it's almost certain I'm going to lose perspective. You see, in my life, one of the more disappointing things when I think of my greatest passions, when we use that definition, to care so much for something that you're willing to suffer for it, I have to stand in front of you this afternoon and say, it's been for a game. But hopefully, with however many days I have going forward or looking back at the end of my life, I could say, yes, it started for a game, but it ended with things that are way more important than a game would ever be. And maybe today you would ask yourself the same question: what has your greatest passion be? Or what is it? And if you get it, is it worth it? Because I believe one of the greatest forms of tragedy is being successful in everything that doesn't matter. If you get everything you're chasing, whose life is different? Just yours? If you are successful, you'll have a choice. Am I going to leave an inheritance? Or am I going to leave a legacy? Both are things that you leave behind. One of them is for someone. The other is in someone. What are we going to leave? What are we most passionate about? And would we be willing to fight to keep perspective on what really matters. And yes, strive to be successful, but even more importantly, strive to be significant. So that at the end of our lives, the only life that we've changed is not just our own, but it's so many people along the way. I hope that you're successful. I really do. I hope maybe there's something that I've said that could possibly inspire you, fill you with the urge to maybe be even more successful, showing up with the right mindset, the right passion, the right people, the right perspective. But hopefully all those things would inspire us all to be that much more significant. So that at the end of our days, we could look back and say, we played hardest, we ran fastest, we had the most focus, not just for a game, but for things that really mattered. Thank you guys so much for having me, and God bless you.